Hey everyone, Maury Curtis Dunbar here at Painted Studio. It is a week before Halloween. We are all decorated up and we're going to start doing some Christmas stuff. I'm actually trying to get a jump on these things. Give me just a second to check and make sure I'm online with you and get my everything all set up here so that I can see. Oh, good. I can see myself, which is, not that big a thrill for me, but at least I can see what's going on. Okay, so it is Saturday. We're going to swing the camera down. We're going to work on some stuff, and one of the things we're going to start on today is our giant Nutcracker. Yes, you can get these from Michael's. They're 24. They start out at $24.95, but they're always on sale, and then you get your coupon. You add your coupon, and I think the most I've ever paid for one of these is $15. So they're a very good price. And we're going to aim the camera down. Hey, Lynn, nice to see you here. Gonna have a sip of iced tea. And then we're gonna start. Okay, so we have a lot more, the reason I'm showing you this one is this actually has details on it. Whereas the other ones are basically flat boards that say either home or just have a snowflake on the top. This is something that's a little more interesting to watch me paint, at least I hope it is. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with a little bit of white. Now, grab my white. We're going to use Faux Effects Set Coat Metallic Snow. The reason I like metallic snow is this is actually a matte metallic snow. It doesn't dry as shiny. And this metallic snow, for whatever reason, it is actually more opaque for me in my general use than the regular white is. I love the snow, especially when it's matte. And it just does me a great job here. So I'm going to go in. First, we're going to start with the face. Now, these are made out of poplar, I believe. And so we don't get a lot of grain that pops on them when we paint them. I'm just going to go in and paint the background on the face. We'll get the details and stuff in later. And yeah, I don't use craft paint on this. I use good quality paints like Set Coat because the coverage is better. I use less product. If I was going to use, something like Liquitex Studio and stuff like that, it would actually take me a lot more paint to get the amount of coverage I want. And I know that I'm going to probably need a second coat on all of this. The other nice thing is Set Coat levels really well. So what's going to happen as this dries, even if I have some brush strokes that I'm not happy with, it's going to suck down tight to the surface and you're not going to see most of that. Let's come back in here. Now I got to do a lot of stuff. This is kind of a thing in my family. My mother started giving her grandchildren nutcrackers every year for Christmas because she had boys. So, Christmas dress, that wasn't something. And she wanted to give them something that they would always have their whole lives. So she gave each grandchild a nutcracker every year for Christmas. And when she passed away, I ended up taking over that duty. My son's turning 25 now, and he's not only received nutcrackers from my mother, but he's gotten them from me, and he's gotten them from friends. So he has a small army, and he has said that I think that this year he'd like it to be his last nutcracker year. And he loves them, but it's just that the collection will start getting, until he has a home of his own, the collection is starting to get a little unmanageable. He had him in his apartment last year, and they lined the stairs. There were so many of them. And they were all over his apartment. So this is his last year for Nutcrackers, and my niece is 16, my nephew is 21, so they still have a couple more to go. So as a result, the whole family has an unhealthy love of Nutcrackers. My mother and I even went to Germany to buy some. Well, not specifically, but we bought Nutcrackers while we were in Germany. So they have a pretty varied collection, which is pretty cool. And I may not listen to him. I may just keep giving him Nutcrackers because I like them. And let him figure out what to do with them. God knows I got enough of those kind of gifts from my mother. Okay, so normally the face and the hands are white, and then white comes into play in different parts in a Nutcracker. So I'm going to do the hands as well. And unlike some of these other signs, this one I'm probably just going to paint the back a solid color, a little more protective. I'm not planning that this is going to be turned around, but I'd like at least a solid color on the back so it doesn't look sloppy. And then all the wood is sealed, and I will seal along the edges as well. I should pull out one of my Nutcrackers and try to remember how it was these were all painted, because God knows I don't remember. But it doesn't really matter either, since I have the general outline. I can paint it however I want. My plan is that the coat is going to be red, the hat's going to be green, the pants will be black, the hair will be black. So yeah, I clearly have some plans for this, just not really clearly stated, not really clearly worked out. And I'm just kind of going back, working out any brush strokes that look a little too high on the surface for me. I just want to leave texture there so that when I come in for my second coat, it doesn't look crappy. To be blunt, I don't want it to look crappy. Now, I use this brush quite a bit. I have a couple brushes that I like to use. I don't have water over here. I knocked it over somewhere and I can't find my container at the moment. So I'm just sort of wiping brushes off and then going back, cleaning them up and coming back in for what I want. So this is going to be green. This is going to be gold, gold, black, gold, red, black, gold, gold, gold. And then I haven't decided on. I think the trousers are going to be green, or they're going to be black. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far. I'll work it out eventually. The thing is that we're dealing with, any level of creativity. So we're now going to use set coat green. You see I'm using a slightly larger brush, a larger area to cover. Now, if you want to change out that cord on the back, that's just a little piece of jute cord. You could pull it off at Staples. Add ribbon, you could tie bows to the top of this. So yeah, there's that. Let me tap on here, see if anybody's got questions about what we're doing. But we do have people, so I want to make sure I say hello. Wow, you all are popping in. Sharon and Denise, Lynn, Evie, Sherry, Kim, Debbie, and Raylene, and Wesley, all of you, thank you so much for coming by. Now, of course, do not hesitate to ask any questions. Now, the nice thing with set coat is it's also interior and exterior rated, so these can go outside, not fade, or they can stay inside and be decorations. Now, we're starting out with paint, but you know me, I'm not going to leave it at just paint. There's going to be foils. There'll probably be some glitter. There'll be all kinds of stuff going on in here. Okay, again, I'm coming back, cleaning up my brush strokes. This will suck down tight. You won't see much of anything in the way of a brush stroke by the time this dries. There's going to, like I said, there's going to be foil, there's going to be glitter, there's going to be all kinds of stuff. So we've got a lot of things happening. Let me have a little sip of my tea. Nancy, nice to see you here. Thanks for popping in. Okay, let's close that one up because I don't know what else I'm going to need it for right now. And therefore, we're going to wipe off the brush, offload it. Why am I offloading brushes that have set coat and I'm not using them for stenciling? A, I don't have any water here, but also since I want to clearly keep using some of these brushes, it's the same principle. If I offload enough paint from this brush without dipping it in water, I'll get a clean result the next time. This was something I learned to do on job sites when I couldn't always get at water, had to clean up messes, that sort of thing. So I just started learning to offload like I do a stencil brush, get most of the paint off, and then I can dip into another color with no problem. Unlike stencil brushes, you put a lot more paint on, so there's a lot more to offload. And the reason I'm doing that is I want to use this brush and I don't want to get up, I don't want to wash it. And since this is first coat, so you can see I have set coat red in a different jar. It was poured off of a gallon when before, when I needed a quart and they only had gallons, so. Of course, this doesn't want to open for me, so that's going to make this really easy. Unfortunately, sometimes these big jars, I have a hard time getting a grip on. Give me just a second. I'm going to grab a paint key. There we go. And all you do is the same thing you do with a can is you go under here, slide the paint key, and just slightly pry up the jar edge, because all you're trying to do is loosen it from the paint that's got it stuck to the lip. Oh, this sucker's being stubborn. And of course, I didn't open it before I got on camera, so you all get to watch me struggle. I'm sure it's not a struggle any of you haven't been through before. The jar that doesn't want to open. And this one actually has a pretty clean lip on it. So that makes it even more confusing as to why it doesn't want to open. Oh, Lord. Well, we're going to work on black because I'm not going to break my hands on this one. We'll go into smaller details. Okay, so this is our set coat black. I'm going to go around here. We'll do the hair. I'll save that red when I can do it because somebody else can do it off screen. Because if I keep messing with it right now, it's going to go flying across the room. I will end up covered in red paint, and bad things are going to happen all the way around. So I'll save that for somebody else to manage. So one of the best tricks I can always tell you is that unless you're looking for a really brush strokey finish, especially when you're using set coat, smooth out your brush strokes. It makes your paint draw tighter to the surface. You don't have awkward shapes and angles to battle out, it makes a lot of difference. Okay, so the belt obviously is going to be black. I think we'll do the cuffs of the sleeves in black too. And if I needed these lines to be absolutely clean and perfect, which I don't right now because I'm only painting the underpaint, I would have taped everything off, made sure it was flawless, but that's not what I need right now. Okay, I'm gonna angle this just a little bit. Hey, Kimberly and Jean and Christine and Tanya, thank you for coming in to see what we're working on today. I mean, really, honestly, a lot of this is going to be base for the embellishment. I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to foil this, but yeah, there's going to be foil and there's going to be all kinds of wonderful enhancements applied on here. I may make black bead gel to go on the cuffs to make it imitate fur a little more. Never know what I'm going to come up with. I love doing this kind of painting. I love filling in the spaces, sitting at my table, just relaxing. I find this very, very, very relaxing to do. Okay. And then I'm going to flip it around. And we'll do the other side. Hey, Sherry, nice to see you here. Okay, let's go up from here, work our way down. So like I said, I got these from Michael's. If you caught my very brief live, I think Friday, yeah, it's been a crazy week. I haven't even had a chance to get online and do a live. You saw I went to a craft show. As far as craft shows went, because I went thinking it was something different. I wasn't sure if it was full craft show or if they were going to be carrying anybody who made crafting supplies. The answer to that is it was crafting. I learned whether or not I wanted to take on that show for myself. The answer to that, probably not, because I don't want to spend my entire year crafting for Christmas or Halloween or whatever holiday the shows happen to revolve around. There wasn't a whole lot of supply stuff there. I did find a guy who I'm looking forward to ordering some stuff from, and I will bring it in shortly. That's my project next week. But I also learned a lot about craft shows in general, because I was looking at it in a different way. I went through the craft show. If I was shopping, I would have been there forever. But really what I was doing was investigating the show for as a selling venue for both my business and my personal creations. So I'm going to share, because some of you all do craft shows and stuff way more than I do. I was hoping more, I was finding more of a trade show, and that's not really what I got. Your booth needs to be really sharp. I went to this show, and the best looking booths, the best set up booths, the most attractive booths were the ones that had the most people in it. Also, bring your A game to your craft shows. Something like the one I went to, which is supposed to be one of the biggest craft shows in the Midwest. Damn. There were some really good versions of stuff, and there were some very average versions of stuff. So if you're going to sell, if you want to sell well, bring your A game, because the people I saw going there, they walked right by the less interesting booths. They walked right by the generic looking stuff. They went specifically looking for people who did unusual things, had a booth that showed really well. Personalizing was a big thing. So the booths that personalized did very, very well. So there's something to consider too. So just something to remember, keep in mind. But definitely it was a learning experience. I'm very glad I did it. I thought I was gonna make these pants black, but I might make them green since I wanna make the shoes black. I was actually hoping my goal in going was to find things to bring here to the studio, crafting materials, paint, any unusual paint, something different, something new. Nothing. I got nothing out of it. Not that way, other than the one guy with the cutouts. I did approach a whole lot of people about cutouts because some of them had some really, really good ones, but truly they want to sell a completed product. They don't want to sell just the parts. So I only found one person who I thought would be a viable supplier for us. Don't worry, I'm going to get into checking this stuff out more. I know there've been pinners conventions, and I haven't done those. I'm truly looking and thinking about which craft shows, which types of shows would be best for the studio to be involved in, and then it could be an event that you all might want to come to, because then it's not just about me. You can go and see all kinds of wonderful creative stuff. Okay. Let's pull this out, and we're going to go back into the green because I can't open the red. Let's not stick the wrong end in. And there's stripes here. I don't know how I'm going to paint them. And actually, I think this is supposed to be the gap between the legs, but we're going to pretend it's not there and just make that the line between the legs. Even with a beat-up brush, I can generally cut a pretty clean line. So I hope everybody is getting ready for Halloween and starting to think about Thanksgiving and all of that. That's what we're doing at my house. We're all decked out for Halloween, but we don't have one piece of Halloween candy in the house. And that's not a bad thing, because normally if it's in the house, we eat it. And I'm the one who has to go out and buy it. Nobody else buys it except me. So yes, you did just see me switch hands. Normally I can do a lot of stuff right-handed, but painting generally isn't one of them unless it's something like this, where the brush has a natural stopping point. See, I gotta get in that spot. That brush is too big. It won't do it. So we're gonna just clean off some of this black. a little green. Go right in there. And there we go. And like I said, perfection is not the goal here, because I know I'm going to be putting stuff over a lot of this, but I am blocking out my colors, which will help me later, and so everything will be completely painted and ready to go. When I'm ready to do the foiling. All right, let's come back up here to the face. We're going to take our black. Angle that a little bit. Sorry about that if the angle's awkward for you to see, but I'm kind of at the end there and I have cup turners, so if I shove this down, it'll do bad things. So we're going to take the eyebrows. Eyebrows are going to be black, just like the hair. Yeah, so what I was saying about craft shows is, as a general rule, bring your A game. Make sure your booth is sharp looking. Make sure you have enough merchandise. And definitely make your booth worth looking at, because that's going to make a huge difference on how well your booth will do at a show. Now, that's not necessarily the same at the farmer's market. My best day when I was doing the farmer's market this summer was the day my booth looked the crappiest. No exaggeration. The best money day was the crappiest looking day in the booth. But it's a farmer's market, and it's a different vibe. And that might not be for every year either. I don't know. I'll find out next year when I try it again. Sorry, I want to make sure I'm paying attention to what I'm doing so I don't screw it up. I think we're going to make his nose red. His eyes will be blue. All right, I'm going to give one more try at opening this up, and then otherwise I'm going to have to call it a day. And this is going to be one of my shortest lives because I can't get my product open. There we go, got it open. It wouldn't unscrew, but I could pop it off. Don't ask me why. That's why. That chunk right there, that was what was keeping me from being able to open this. Okay, so I'm going to give up on that brush. We're not going to use the red on there. We're going to use different brushes because I can. Okay. Got the Set Coat Red open. We're going to put Set Coat Red on this body. And just remember, things, you know, when you're starting stuff, it always looks messy. Always. It's because when you're doing your first layers like this, it's just your first coat. You're blocking in stuff, and then the next pass that you come through is where everything gets cleaned up and freshened up and nice and sharp lines and details come in and all that fun stuff. Yay. Happy I got the red open because I was going to fight that after I got off camera if it didn't open this time. I try to stay painting within the grain of the wood. That makes the paint happier the way it applies. But, you know, sometimes you're still going to go against. You won't die. And the Halloween ones were a little simpler than this. Even the skulls, the pattern is, you know, it was 4 heads. So we'd paint it, solid color, foil it, each head different colors, and then we'd be all set. But this one, the Nutcracker takes a little more. And this is the most detailed one. I went back to Michael's just yesterday because I had to pick something up. Something I ran out of here in the studio. Spray adhesive. Go through a lot of that with the stencils. And they still had plenty of these, easy to find. I wanted to make sure because I think they had come up with a 4th one for the Halloween signs and I couldn't get the 4th one, so I wanted to make sure that there wasn't more than 3 designs for Christmas, although who knows, they might come out with another one later on. But I got everything that they had in stock in these big ones. I love these big signs. And I love the little ones too, but I love the big ones. Big ones just make me happy. Okay, let's go up in here. Now, you see me get a blob on something that it doesn't belong on, when I wipe it, I'm not trying to get the color off. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't leave a blob of color on something that will create a texture that I have to battle later. And I know I'm painting over this part here, where the chin insert is. I haven't decided how I'm handling that. So the easiest thing for me to do is paint it red, and I will figure it out as I go along. And I always do. Sometimes this is how I work. A little seat of the pants, little working out the ideas. We're also going to start a furniture piece next week and use transfers on it and then paint the transfers. So we've got some fun projects for next week. Now, if you notice, I'm not painting around the buttons. I need a smaller brush for that, and I have one. I just don't want to screw them up by bringing the big brush too close in. And if I get paint on my jacket, by the way, I don't care. This is an Old Navy jacket. I wear stuff like that in the studio, so it can get paint on it and I don't have to care about it. Okay, so I need a smaller brush to get into the details here because that's where there's going to be red. Let me see if I have any questions that y'all need answered. It's hard to hear me. Sherry, I'm sorry, but the camera's a little far away, so that means the microphones are a little far away. So you can see where we're going here. Take my smaller brush. And then I can just go in here, here, See, I know there's going to be paint on there, so I just want to wipe it back so that it doesn't create texture. I'll deal with whatever I have to paint over it after I've gotten the insides completely done. I think I'm going to make his nose red too. There we go. And what happens is, so I do all these little details like on the face and stuff first. I put the coat of white down, then I do the details. I come back and I do 2 coats on all the details and then come back and clean it all up with the white. I know that sounds complicated, but it actually works really well and gives you a very nice clean result. So like I said, I won't paint this until I've gotten all the other details worked out on here, painted the red in, made sure it's opaque, covers everything completely, and is fully dry, and then I'll deal with that. Let's get in here around these buttons. And as you know, reds dry semi-translucent. Reds are the toughest paint on earth to get a good opaque coverage with. Normally, they will tell you to prime gray. There used to be a brand called Moralo. Had the most amazing reds, and that's because instead of a clear base for it, which is what they use in most deep tinting bases, is relatively clear, they had red bases for their colors, and they had a blue base, and the coverage was spectacular. And Sherwin-Williams bought them out. They stopped making the reds that way, and you had to go into the gray primers, which is pretty standard. If you have red walls, more likely than not, you're going to have a gray primer under it, because that helps the red read better than on a white wall where you've got flashes of the white through the red. And it's the same for priming. If I needed this to be solid red, I would have primed it gray before applying the red. But I know I'm foiling over half of this, so I want red as my undercolor for my foil. Okay, so let's flip this. Let me check and see if you have any questions. You all seem to be pretty good with this right now, and I do appreciate everybody who's popped in to see what we were working on. All right, so we're gonna call it a day on this one. This guy's gotta dry. We're gonna go put second coats on, then I'm gonna deal with the things that I have to paint gold, and then we'll be back. Thank you all for popping in today. We're keeping them short this week. I actually have not been on camera much this week at all. It's just been chaotic. So this is like my first time to relax and go on camera with you all and work on a project for several days. And I will see you all, today's Saturday, so I'll see you Tuesday. I'm back in the studio on Tuesday. All right, everyone, have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.